Welcome to footballgameplan.com, where football makes sense. Alongside the Zarda playbook, it's Emery Hunt, and I'm Tyler Merkovich, and we're bringing you a FCS preview of the Colonial Athletic Association with the South Division. And let's start out with the Villanova Wildcats. Andy Talley, 10-3 last year. He's in his 25th season. Chris Whitney bumped out Antoine Young last year to get the starting job at quarterback. Aaron Ball is back over 1,000 yards. He was a second-team All-Selection. Matt Zohr is their wide receiver.
Well, you look at Aaron Ball, he leads a deep group of running backs. They have a depth out is unquestioned with the running backs at Villanova. I look at the fact that they do have the quarterback coming back, Chris Whitney, 10 touchdown passes, 5 interceptions, 64% completion percentage, so he's accurate with the football. That's impressive. He keeps the chains moving. He makes all the right decisions. He also has an undersized type receiver in slash running back in Matt Zohr, 500 yards receiving, 400 yards rushing, and also had a kickoff return for a touchdown. So he's a tremendous athlete. They get him the ball in his hands. He makes special things happen.
Ben Ijalana, their left tackle, earned first-team All-Conference. They only lose one starter on the offensive line, so their O-line will be there to anchor that heavy run game.
Yeah, the veteran offensive line is going to help out with the running attack, as well as getting buying time for Whitney to find all those weapons he has back there at the wideout position.
A bunch of playmakers on defense. This is a solid defense. Linebacker Osela Sunday was a first-team selection. Second-team selection Marquise Kirkland, 7.5 tackles for loss. Defensive end Tim Kakuka, 15 tackles for loss, and Ross Ventrone had 3 interceptions as a safety.
Well, they also were able to stop the run last year with all those impressive guys on defense. 3.2 yards a carry. It's going to carry those guys, especially in the southern part of the division, where a lot of teams have big backs that can run the ball down the field. So that's going to help out. I like the fact that they have a nice schedule as well, too, which should help them out defensively. They're at Temple, at Penn, at New Hampshire, at JMU. So that defense is really going to have to step up and play hard, because that's a tough slate of games, road games. But Marquise Kirkland, 70 tackles, is a tremendous linebacker for the Wildcats.
The Spiders of Richmond, of course, the national champions in FCS. Mike London, the former UVA defensive coordinator, has this program turning in the right direction. 13-3, coming off that championship year last year. And they've put in guys in the NFL named Tim Hightower, Armand Shields, Lawrence Sidbury. The list goes on. Rookie of the Year last year in the conference, Kevin Grayson, their wide receiver. Look out for him. Eric Ward, their quarterback, is back. All-American tackle Tim Silva and 2-time All-American Matt McCracken anchor that offensive line, which is lethal.
Well, they have the best offensive line in the conference. 2 All-Americans on that offensive line, so that's impressive. Silva and McCracken, those guys are definite draft picks in the NFL because they're that type of players. Eric Ward is a guy, that I really like. I think he's improved over the years. 17 touchdown passes, 7 interceptions, efficient with the football. He's going to have to make even more. They'll actually make more plays in the passing game this year as they look to replace those running backs that they lost last season. But he's going to be a real good playmaker. He's going to be one of those sleeper quarterbacks in maybe the mid to late rounds that people are like, wow, who's this guy? But he's a really good player. He's an athlete that can run as well as pass.
All 3 linebackers return on defense. First team All-Conference Eric McBride, and third team Colin McConaughey. Defensive lineman Sherman Logan is returning from injury, which is a plus. And All-American corner Justin Rogers is the shutdown man for the Spiders.
Yeah, they gave up 15 points a game. Defense was their staple last season. That helped them win the championship. 15 points a game they were giving up. They also gave up 94 yards rushing a game. Also, don't forget about Patrick Weldon, linebacker, 90 tackles. He's a really good playmaker. The linebackers are the strength of that defense. Also, Justin Rogers, All-American, 7 interceptions. Awesome playmaker. Across the board, these guys have a lot of firepower on defense. The defensive line is still, still going to be good. Still a good one. Also, they have 2 weeks this year to prepare for James Madison. That's going to be the biggest game out the division because James Madison beat them last year. Now they got 2 weeks to prepare for that team. Revenge is on their mind. This is going to be a really good year for Richmond.
Speaking of James Madison, the Dukes, Mickey Matthews in his 11th year, 12-2 last season. But they lose their 2 spectacular stars on offense in Rodney Landers and running back Eugene Holloman.
Well, that's 2,800 yards of rushing they lost. That's a lot of production that they have to replace. You look at Griff Yancey, 500 yards, 10 touchdowns. So he found this. He has a nose for the end zone. So he's going to be well. He's going to be well off this year. He's going to have close to 1,000 yards, if not 1,000. But who's going to replace Rodney Landers? That is the key. That guy was such a leader on the team. Tremendous athlete. They have to find a way to replace him. The offensive line still has Dorian Brooks and Theo Sherman. But again, Landers was the key to that offense. They have to replace him.
They lose an All-American lineman and two other all-conference selections, so that's a couple losses on the offensive line. Drew Dudzik trying to take over the reins, try to fill up the shoes that Rodney Landers leaves.
Big shoes to fill.
Absolutely. All-American free safety Marcus Haywood is their defensive player to look out for. Yards per carry was rising. They lose two of their top tacklers, but at least they have defensive player of the year, rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, Pat Williams.
Well, Altamont's defensive end, 11.5 sacks, terror off the end. So that's going to help out a lot. You also have defensive tackle Sam Daniels. He chipped in with 6 sacks. Anytime you get sacks from a defensive tackle, that's impressive. They're rushing the passer. James Madison has a good defense up front. But the defense gave up 23 points a game. That has to improve. But looking at the players they lost, they're going to take a step back. They lost a lot of talent on that defense, but the defensive line should be solid. So if your defensive line is solid, it should give the back 7 a chance, the back 6 a chance, because those guys up front going to hold it down.
James Madison, look out, because your in-state rival Richmond Spiders are coming after you for a revenge game.
Right.
That's your game to look out for. William and Mary, the Tribe, Jimmy Laycock in his 30th year, 7-4. This guy has 2 former players that are now pretty good coaches in the NFL. They returned 7 starters on offense, 8 on defense. R.J. Archer is going to take over for Jake Phillips.
Well, you look at running back Jonathan Grimes is a really good player. He had a kickoff return for a touchdown last season. He also had 930 yards rushing as well as 7 touchdowns. So look for him to improve those numbers to get maybe 1,000 to 1,200 yards this year, as you're going to lean on him a little bit more. Because you look at the tight end, Ron Varno, 400 yards receiving. So you have a threat at the tight end position that's going to help out, keep those defenses honest, keep those linebackers, keep a linebacker out the box, which will allow Grimes to get more yards rushing. So I like what they have with their running back tight end combination. Receivers wise, DJ McCauley, 700 yards receiving, 18 yards to catch, so he can get down the field. He's a big play guy. I like what William and Mary is doing on offense.
On defense, they return first-team All-League defensive end Adrian Tracy, 10 sacks, 10.5 tackle for loss, and cornerback Derek Cox, though, he's lost. He was a draft pick to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They got strong safety David Caldwell in the secondary.
Defensive line is the best unit on the defense. It might be on the team because that's a lot of talent they have. Tracy, 10.5 sacks, 76 tackles, a really good player. Really dynamite player. Also, the linebackers are pretty well off as well too. There's some talent at linebacker. You look at Jake Trenton, 76 touchdowns, 76 tackles, 6 sacks, 6 TFL. So he's a really good player at linebacker. Secondary, I have a question. They have 3 starters back, but they're going to be a work in progress for the Tribe.